growing up in Jamaica, Hill and Gully Ride was a playground song. It was a piece of folk music that connected us to our ancestors. But the sad reality today is that if you search Hill and Gully Ride, you're not finding folk dancers. You're finding something that is much darker. It is time to talk about the moral crisis of dancehall music. I'm Rasheen, and this is Moral Compass. No, the sad reality is that a lot of Jamaicans are not familiar with the history of the origin of the Hilangoli Ride song, and I've seen people online saying that it is already a sexualized song in a subtle way. The when you bend down low part of it, but it is not actually a sexualized song. It's a work song. Workers as they dig roads and break stones, they would do a call and answer song to help them to cope with the work that they were doing. And the bending down low and stuff is, it has to do with the top Hilangoli ride and stuff like that. It has to do with the topography of the island. But the sad thing is that dancehall have taken the innocence of this song. They have added to it hypersexualization, violence, and these sexual imageries and stuff like that. They have taken away the innocence of this song, really. And there is now a desensitization that is going on when it comes to dancehall music, because we know that dancehall is a high energy kind of thing. It's about, busting a dance. And growing up as a young boy, basically, let me just say, I have no issues with, clean, good dancehall music. Growing up, I used to enjoy Elephant Man, going to sports day, Fear Day, and stuff like that, QQ, and Ding Dong, these guys that sings, even Beanie Man, some wonderful, dancing song that you can, as kids, you can, dance to the lyrics and enjoy yourselves. But dancehall have evolved over time. Modern dancehall music is nothing like what it used to be, and now there's a desensitization chop because the nothing seems to be sacred anymore, and we no longer even flinch at certain lyrics that we hear in dancehall music, certain things that the artists are singing or are saying. People aren't even, you don't even flinch when you hear it. That's how bad things have gotten. And the question is, are a lot of artists and even the listeners will say that these artists are sorry these artists are just reflecting the environment around them. But the question is, are you actually reflecting the environment, or are you helping to pollute the environment? Is there nothing that is sacred anymore? Is there nothing that can it escape the violent and the sexual imageries of dancehall? Because we have taken this innocent music and we have turned it into something horrible. And I know that a lot of people will attack me for this video, but somebody have to come and speak out against what is happening. Because like I've said, I don't really have any issue with dancehall music. What the issue I have is the modern dancehall music and the lyrics that are coming out in these songs that are influencing the young people around us. Because when we talk about reflecting the environment, you're gonna talk about the movies in Hollywood, the rock music, that these things are also hypersexualized and produce violence and stuff. But I'm Jamaican, and so I'm addressing what's happening in Jamaica, and a change have to start somewhere. Why don't it begin with us? Um, there are people who are living in certain parts of Kingston where people often throw garbage in the gullies, and if you see someone throwing garbage in the gully, and you say to yourself that because this person is throwing garbage in the gully, then might as well I do it too. I'm only reflecting or doing what I see others doing. When there's a heavy rain, it's not just going to affect the person who started it, it's going to affect everybody. And when there's an outbreak of disease due to a pile up of garbage, it's also going to affect everybody. Everybody's going to get sick. And so it's the same thing with these dancehall music. When we use it to pollute the minds of our kids, and not just our kids, but society as a whole, we end up with a sick country. And sadly, it seems as if the country is sick because a lot of persons are agreeing with with all that is happening. So it seems like there is nothing that is sacred anymore. There's no social responsibility. But the question that I want to ask is this a world that we want to see our children grow up in, or daughters believing that they're nothing but um, a piece of mattress or a piece of sponge that men can do whatever they want with, and they should just exposing themselves, walking around for the entire world to see, and to allow men to do all sort of things to them? Is this a world where you want your sons to grow up in, believing that women or nothing but something to look at in a sexual way and do whatever you want with? um, I don't think that's a world that we want to see our children grow up in, or seeing our children disrespecting adults or elders on the street, smoking in front of them and using curse words and doing whatever. These are things that dancehall music are helping to contribute to. And I'm not here saying that dancehall music is the only contributing factor, but it is a big, big factor with the behavior and the crime and violence that are happening in Jamaica. And so the key question that I want to ask for our audience: can we separate the rhythm from the message, or are we just dancing ourselves into a moral hole? If our ancestors heard what we've done to their folk song, would they be proud of our creativity or grieved by our choices? Where is your personal red line? What is one thing that you've heard or seen recently that made you say, no man, that's too far? Or is there anything, or is there nothing rather, that actually affects you or cause you to flinch? There must be a personal red line. There must be something that you've heard in dancehall that made you say, well, no, enough is enough, or this is too far. Or are we so far gone that nothing really affects us anymore? Let us begin to look into ourselves. Let us begin to hold our entertainers accountable, because if we're not consuming what they're selling or buying what they're selling, then eventually they will have to make a change. But if we don't start taking responsibility, then our society will be in serious, serious trouble. I'm Rashane, and this is Moral Compass. Please like, share, and subscribe for more.